Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Peach State Payments, Recover, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue BA, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting the sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 678 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Trevor Marum. And if you want to hear a story about becoming a chiro later in life and making it happen at all costs, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. They have Dr. Trevor Marum on with me, episode 678. Met this guy a couple years ago at a Chiro Fest out in the Pacific Northwest in Vancouver, Washington, just north of Portland. Really cool connection. Been following him ever since. He's so plugged into the profession, doing his best out there. We're going to talk about why it's important to understand the responsibility for patients to be active in their care. We're going to touch on the value of understanding multiple techniques as a practitioner. And he didn't start chiropractic till into his 30s. So I think that's going to be a really cool message to share with people too. It's never too late to go for it. And maybe we'll touch on some things about his life outside of chiropractic and making it happen at all costs. Before we jump into his show today and his story, I'm going to tell you our big why. Why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? Freedom of speech. I think it's so important to the world to know that. We've never censored anyone. We know what it's like to be traffic throttled and censored, and we never do that to you. So that's a really cool thing about our show. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. They're not the same things, but if you need guidance on that, find a chiropractor in your city. And I'm sure they'd be happy to take you by your hand and educate you on how to raise your kids healthy and yourself. Philosophically speaking, we do protect the sacred trust. That's BJ Palmer's last written words. If you want to know more about the chiropractic profession, go dive into our webpage, chirohustle.com. Click on the show notes. You're going to learn more about chiropractic than you ever did previously. I guarantee you. We do support subluxation-based chiropractic. I know you shouldn't have to say that, but they're taking it out of schools. So if you have students in your life out there, please share the show to them. Get this on all the campuses across the world when it comes to the chiropractic message. We thank you for that. So please share the show. Last thing, we do believe that in universal intelligence and innate intelligence, I know I shouldn't have to say this stuff either, but we believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual, and that creates the educated intelligence. That's a triune of the innate, universal, and educated. With that being said, Dr. Trevor, welcome to the show. Your episode 678.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude. I am over the message of we have to be quiet. We have to simmer down. I'm like, hey, let's turn the volume up. Let's go. And I know coming into chiropractic in your 30s, tell us that story. Like what inspired you to say, hey man, I'm burning the ships. I'm going all in for chiropractic.
It was kind of a weird story. It's not a normal one. You have a lot of the miracle stories or their own. I was really sick and then this helped me. It was really very different. I was an athlete all my life. And so I was really into the physical, doing sports. But so I also had a knack to an interest to learn about anatomy, but I never, ever thought I was going to be going down the road of doctorate, generally speaking. But I thought maybe a therapist, like a physical therapist. And it was really slapping me in the face for a very long time. But, I was a fitness trainer for a long time at a very advanced level. And still, seeing all these chiropractors kind of mingling in the same circles. And I was always, in a sense, turned off from it for maybe 7 to 10 years. I was experiencing it through other people. My wife, especially, she had many big injuries, and she went to the chiropractor often. And it was really weird that time and time again, it just didn't make sense to me. And, it seemed really intense, and mystery, like, why are you doing that? And I think one day, actually, we had kids, and my wife was really like, hey, let's try chiropractic with the kids. And I went to go see Dan Bronstein. He is out of Grover Beach, Central Coast of California. And so my kids got seen by him, and for some reason I found myself getting adjusted by him. And that's just the way it goes with him. And he was doing knee chest. He did a knee chest upper cervical atlas adjustment on me. And I don't know how all of a sudden I was finding myself going to Life West, paid by him, they do the highlight when a student can go in and get paid for. And it between his upper cervical adjustment, and I probably some words that he was saying that really made sense to me, I just couldn't put it all together until I got the support from Life West. And it was just exactly what I needed. And I have had a very hard time putting in exact words, but I think it was basically I had to go through it in that way and see the magic of what it can do, and how the differences that it can make you feel. And then getting the wisdom, the knowledge that went with it, that what it can do for you, and what it exactly entails as a job, was in a sense unfolded in a much better way than I had ever experienced before.
Yeah, that take that you have there, and being grateful to Life West. I also want to say thank you to them. They're sponsors of our show. We have 2 chiropractic colleges that sponsor our show. They're one of them.
Yeah.
So thank you, Life West, for being a part of the Chiro Hustle family. And I know that what they do out there is a real fundamental education when it comes to becoming a chiropractor. So were there others, I guess, possibilities, or was it just Life West? Were you considering going to any other chiropractic schools, or is it just that was the first thing that came to you and you just said, I'm going for it?
It was the first thing. It was really the only thing. I got lucky in that way. It was the closest school to me, and that was why I did that. I was on the Central Coast of California, San Luis Obispo, which is right down the street from Dan Bronstein, which is, Grover Beach. And I lived in, I was going to say San Francisco, but it's really East Bay, Hayward, to go to school. And I was driving home in the weekends, and sometimes it took 3 hours and sometimes it took 6 hours, depending on traffic. So I got to live in East Bay during the week to go to school and come home on the weekends. And we weren't going to up and move the kids when they were in school and try to get them into San Francisco schools. And so that was the only thing that we saw feasible at the time. And so I just ignorant. I was totally lucky though, because, I've investigated the schools. I've had some trips going to do some seminars in schools in Dallas and some other places that I was really just, whoa, what? I've never even heard the word subluxation here through this whole entire seminar. Like, what's going on? And I was really, in a sense, freaked out and disappointed tremendously. And it ended up being good. We made some good out of it, made some good contacts where people kind of felt the same way as students there. But, I really am just totally lucky. Life West is what was an amazing experience for me.
So fast forward 7 years, you've been in practice now.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about patient responsibility, because I know that we've been jamming on that a little bit lately. And why do you believe that the people that are that, I guess, become patients of chiropractors have a responsibility, and what does that look like?
Yeah. So everybody that comes in, I do a thorough exam, kind of a bit of their history. If we're not getting enough answers, we'll dive deep into their history, but neuros, orthos, and all sorts of different bells and whistles. But what really shows them that I know what's going on and they feel heard. But during this time, it's really important to be able to lay the law or set the expectations of what they have to do. They can't just come in and go, hey, this one bone is out. All I need is it to go back in place and I'll be fine. You're a continuum. You're an ever adapting entity. So it's, we have certain expectations set in the very beginning that they're going to have a lot of homework. They're going to have to change their life to change the way they feel. And so patient responsibility will be to take on the education that we do through videos, as well as hopefully they'll come in person with the in-house lectures we're doing twice a month.
Well, people that follow my show, they know that I go out and I help grow practices, and I go out and talk to people in the community, and I set them up and get them scheduled for their first visits to go see a chiropractor, which I think is like some real important stuff out there in this world. And when I meet people and I talk to them, I say, look, what's worked up to this point for you? And, I get them to basically tell on themselves. They're like, well, nothing's really worked. Right. I'm like, well, when the doctor gives you recommendations on that second visit, please just follow them. The reason that they're giving you the recommendations for care is because they know that this is what they would recommend to their mother or their kids or their wife or their best friends. So they're not trying to just sell you a plan. They want to actually see your life improve under their guidance. So when they give you that plan to go forward, just please for once, just listen and do it. So I bake that into people showing up. Exactly. So it's a lot easier for people to understand, like, look, it's not about my own ego to them. It's about their responsibility to the plan that you set for them and trust. And I think that that's the biggest thing. When people come into my take, I'm like, look, the reason most people don't find a chiropractor is because they don't know where to go or who to trust. Now I'm helping you get in to see somebody that I believe that's going to be the right fit for you. Anyways, I think a lot goes into our responsibility too, of how we communicate that to them to where they feel invited. And people are looking for a community more than ever right now.
Big time. I completely agree, and I try to keep it as simple as possible for that reason. I'll probably lay out like 12 things that they're talked about, but yeah, we'll get after all these things, but I only want you to do these 2 things in the beginning. We're going to start with this one. We'll slowly add the second. Once we integrate it well, then we'll up that game. And then maybe if you can keep that, we'll add a third thing that we change in your life. So if we keep it as simple as possible, they don't get overwhelmed. They start adhering to these things better. And so a lot of times that's why getting them into the community and kind of it's almost like it just happens when they're spending time in the lectures that we're doing, or sometimes we're even doing things that are going to be even really super simple, pulling apart your pantry, dissecting it, or your fridge, like what's in it, or even food labels. So we'll do lectures on simple stuff, or even online stuff about that, and we'll hold conversations a lot. We'll do a lot of Q&A so they feel involved.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Peach State Payments, Recover, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue BA, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, Pure Chiro Notes, 5 Star Forge, Kytronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting the sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle.
I think you have to speak their language too.
Yeah.
And I think that that's an important part of building that rapport with people is you're going to like attract the people that want that message, which I think is really cool. And I think it goes back to old school chiropractors, the ones that actually like gave the lay lecture, as they called them, the patient education talks. Those are the practices that grow. And, you know, when I go out there and do my work, the last thing I tell people is you're going to have such great experience at our office. You're probably going to be our number one referral source, probably after your 7th visit or so. So thanks for letting us learn your business today. We'll see you at the office. So I already bake into them that they're going to be with us at least 7 visits, and they're all shaking their head. Yep. And then I say about the referral thing too. And that's a great thing about those doctor talks is because people do come into them and they do bring their friends and family with them because they are curious what this person's committing to. So good on you for doing that. Let's talk technique a little bit. I know that I was reading your bio and you talked about different techniques that you like to practice. Talk about the toolkit. Why did you expand into the different techniques that you found?
First off, I think I'm just fascinated at human physiology and how we can adapt. And it made sense to me if you don't know how to adjust an ankle well enough, do you really want to consistently, because being an athlete and working with athletes, you know, I find so many ankles that are messed up, so many knees that are messed up, so on and so forth, but that messes up their skull position, you know? So it's like how you move in your terrain and your visual fields have to adjust from how you move in your terrain. So of course, your ankle is going to mess you up and how you move in your terrain. So it's going to mess up your skull position. So simple ideas like that, I'm like convincing myself early on, of course, I need a skill set to be able to make sure I know exactly how to mobilize the proper, you know, an ankle, a shoulder, a wrist even, you know. But so I really focused at upper cervical quite a bit. And that actually is one reason why I quickly went to extremities, because there's such an influence on upper cervical. Upper cervical for me was a mandatory on several different techniques, needing to know how to thoroughly do them, not just on paper, but with the hands, knee, chest, toggle, so on and so forth, because I think that the patient, seeing it from the patient's point of view, to where someone else is moving their head, someone else is really in their space, holding their neck and moving it really fast. And so, and there's a whole lot of freedom in your upper neck and skull. And, you know, patient needs to feel comfortable, feel cautious, or you know, that you're cautious and in care and understand the dynamic potentials. So I thought thoroughly knowing how to come from so many different angles of expertise was a necessary thing.
Well, you know, listening to your message there, I do believe people should understand different ways to take care of different groups of people. From, like you said, athletes, of course, there's a different type of adjusting technique that you're going to follow. You're going to definitely look at the extremities more. You know, babies, there's a different way to take care of babies and children and toddlers. And, you know, people that are sedentary, bro, you got to be careful with those people because there's definitely no motion in those SI joints. There's definitely no motion in their lower cervical curve. They're all bent forward and hunched. So the transition segments between lumbar and thoracic are generally locked up. They're not taking deep breaths.
Right.
So, you know, you have to really also understand like the depth of field for the type of person you're dealing with. So different techniques go for different people. And, you know, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to a chiropractor that talks about like releasing an atlas adjustment. and somebody's life just completely changed and they were never the same person. Well,
Yep.
that's what happens when people are subluxated.
Yep.
And you correct that subluxation, you allow their body to actually chill out and like feel alive again.
Yeah. I feel like we're about to unfold the old Reggie Gold podcast, or when he was interviewed, and you know, they said, so chiropractic cures everything. He's saying, no, we just address subluxations. Well, yeah, but all these people are saying it cures cancer, it cures heart disease, it cures. Well, I'm not saying I cure any of those things. All we're doing is addressing the subluxation. I love it. And people don't really understand that disease isn't necessarily just a delusion, because, you know, we are not our diagnosis. And the message isn't put out there well enough about that stuff. And, you know, I don't get me wrong, I love to nerd out about pathology and stuff, but, you know, understanding it to the level to where it's more understood about studying pathology is really just so doctors can get on the same page easily with one word or two words, right? So there's still going to be individuals. You're going to still treat them individually. You know, they still need a specific plan just for them, even if it's the same diagnosis. So, you know, they're all going to be subluxated once you clear all those interferences for the natural self-regulating system, self-healing system that you are as a human. You're going to thrive. So that is the simple conversation. You know, I probably ought to start planning that old Reggie interview
You know,
on my TV in the lobby.
I just spoke at Cal Chiro, and hour and 45-minute talk to the group out there. And one of the things I urged all of them to do is to go find Reggie Gold's Chemistry of Life, and just sit and listen to it. And I think he talks about another one with the Valley of the Blind, where he talks about the one-eyed king. And, you know, there's a lot that Reggie brought to the chiropractic world, and he was very subluxation minded. And I think that if people get back to the roots of that philosophy, that's really what will set the future chiropractor free, because it cuts through the board, the ideas of becoming a board certified chiropractor. It takes people back to the philosophical roots, which makes it so simple. Like, the adjustment is so simple for people that we want people to assimilate to a doctorate degree to understand it. And I think that when chiropractors nerd out, like you said, a lot of the time the people are just like, hey, just do the thing that you do. And we're like, but it's a C6 lateral. We have to put you on the side posture to drop it. And we're going to do this thing. And they just want to know, like, are you good at what you do? And can you deliver the goods?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I am very lucky in my practice. Early on, I've dealt with some super, super compromised situations, and we got amazing, miraculous, really results, and it blossomed from there. Everybody that had these wildly compromising situations, I'm the go-to. And it's a lot of fun for me. It's a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. I know work is like recess for me. And I'm lucky that my practice is basically referral only.
Yeah, that was a big question I was going to go over with you, is how did you grow the practice? It sounds like you grew it because you were taking care of people and people were referring tough cases to you. Yep.
Yeah. So I did a lot of seniors in the beginning. And actually, I still do. I think my oldest right now is 98. Nobody over 100 right now. And I think my youngest is a day old, actually. And all in between, as we say, womb to tomb. And I think I'm super blessed, you know, so I've done a lot of peds, a lot of pregnant, a lot of pediatric, a lot of car accident, a lot of all of it. You know, I'm an athlete, so I totally relate to a lot of people with Oh, I didn't even know chiropractors do shoulders, but I was told to go to you. You're the man, you know? So, you know, you see it all. It's kind of like a zoo in the clinic sometimes, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So it sounds like a family practice.
Yes, sir.
That's cool, man. Yeah. I think sometimes people want to niche in and do just one technique, and they only want to see one demographic of people, which is cool too. But I think, you know, it is important to be able to take care of people. Taking care of people is a real passion. I think that the chiropractor has a fire lit inside of them that they just want to see how they can help more people. And, you know, I remember old stories of Clarence Gonstead. Like his wife would bring him sandwiches to the adjusting table so he didn't have to like leave for lunch. And he would just eat and wait, have the patient sit there on the table, wait for him to eat. And later in nights, I mean, it's probably some myth to this, but probably some truth. But towards the end of his shifts, his wife would bring him in Heineken's. And he'd have a couple brewskis towards the end of his shift and work with his patients still.
Yep.
But he was working like 14-hour days, and people were flying from all across the world to come in to see Clarence Gonstead in Mount Horeb, Wisconsin. So there might have been something about the guy that was working.
Yes. Yeah. That story's baffling. I mean, his clinic was an airport, wasn't it?
He attached a runway to his clinic, and he attached a hotel so people could live there while they got care.
It's amazing.
But, you know, he took care of all the hard cases, people that weren't getting help from other people. So why wouldn't you go to the best in the world if that's where you knew that you were going to go and be under the care of a master?
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I could go see him.
Yeah, so let's roll right into some mentors. I think that's a good tee up for that. So who inspired you to be the doc you are today?
Ooh, of course, Dan Bronstein. You know, he saw my wife, he saw myself, my kids. He was doing knee chest, and he was really into neuro. But then he morphed into pediatric only, or not only. Of course, everybody who does pediatric only still sees the whole family. But so that was really inspiring. But when I got into school, I quickly got introduced to John Bergman, you know, out of Huntington Beach. And he's, you know, a master of technique. He's a master of business. He's a master of education. You know, and I went and shadowed him. People were lined up at the door at like 4:30 in the morning. I was just floored, like 30 people before they unlocked the door. He shows up, biked to work. And
I could just hear his goofy laugh right now.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
I think he saw like 65 people before 10 a.m. I had a hard time shadowing him. He was just a beast. And, you know, every stinking adjustment, precision. And it was just amazing. You know, everything, every time he checked his x-rays and went and looked and adjusted. Or went and checked the person, checked the x-rays and adjusted. And it was a storm of awesomeness. He supposedly was starting to take his lunch, and I went to go take my lunch, and I was, you know, peeking back in the clinic. He's adjusting a kid walking around in the lobby, you know, following him, still adjusting him. And it was just such an impact on me. Paul Reed, of course, the man. He's now my coach. Huge impact. So I've been doing Chiro Fest for a long time. Eventually got him as a coach. So a huge impact. But there's a lot of big people, big names that I'll even forget to mention. But people at school. Let's see. Dr. Walton over at school doing the extremities. So many different people from school. Let's see who's going to be the top inspiration other than them. Recently, Courtney Gowan, you know, running a huge practice out of Dallas. You know, recently saw her at Chiro Fest, did an amazing lecture on stage, just blown away what she's done. I think she actually officially bought like 10 acres and started her own city. If I got their lecture correct. I think she said that. And I was like, did I catch that correct? She has her own city, and it's a chiropractic. Everything is chiropractic, the whole place. You know, she has like 15 buildings all lined up, or that's what it seems like. Anyways, she's doing a lot for chiropractic, focused on thriving, running huge pediatric focused chiropractic, and doing a lot of other modalities as well, with other practitioners being involved.
Well, brother, I know we're at the edge of our time today. I know we're a little bit over the half-hour point. I just want to thank you for being on with me today, episode 678. Is there anything that I didn't mention or that we didn't talk about that you wanted to close out with?
I think some potential students will be listening in. Go and shadow. Go and find docs. Go and find several different docs to go, well, that wasn't quite it. Go and find them. Get dirty, go and figure out what school you want to go to that will be philosophically based. Life West is my place, but you know, what other chiropractic schools would you recommend that are philosophically based?
You know, I know there's 18 in the United States. I've never been to chiropractic college myself, but I do like the philosophy of Life West. I like the philosophy of Sherman, and I like the philosophy of life. I know that I grew up in Davenport, Iowa, so there's a strong roots there with me with Palmer.
Yep.
I know that the rugby guys from Palmer College are some of the best chiropractors in the world. That's who started my career. So I have a lot of respect for that group of Palmer chiropractors. Internationally, I tell people to go to Barcelona, like right now, just because of the benefits of the program over there.
Yeah.
I know New Zealand has a great program over there. And I think that if people think globally, that's what chiropractic is. It's a global project. It's a global profession. And I think that if I were to send somebody right now, just one school, and they were like, hey, where do I go? I would say, well, go check out those 3 schools I mentioned at the beginning. Also go check out Palmer and make a decision. I would say, like you said, go shadow some docs. I would say go shadow some schools.
Yeah.
And see what you take away and where it feels like home, because you're going to be there for 3 to 4 years.
And I love the references. Like Bergman has so many endless different educational videos. John Bergman, YouTube videos, Heidi Havoc, a long list of amazing, good support for resources for just learning or getting into chiropractic.
Well, if people wanted to reach out to you, connect with you, where do we send them to?
Probably calling the clinic line is best. You can also text the clinic line, 360-999-9848. That's the best way to quickly respond. But I think vertchiropractic@gmail is another good way. So, I would love students or even potential students to come and shadow. We've had a few. And I think I'd like to say that, you know, we've really changed the course of what they thought chiropractic could be. And I want to keep on doing that and inspiring, be a reference, be a resource.
Well, let's get some open houses going with these students over at Vert Chiropractic. Send the email vertchiropractic@gmail.com. Reach out by phone, 360-999-9848. You guys can text or call. But I think it's a great episode today. I appreciate you jumping on and sharing with me about all things chiropractic, sharing a little bit of your life story. And man, hopefully we inspired a couple people to consider chiropractic and to maybe understand the profession a little bit clearer.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, you're episode 678. I'm going to close out like I always do, and I'll tell everybody you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now. See you, Doc.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.